Good evening and a warm welcome to you all. Thank you for joining me. Hi, Kim. We've got William in the house. We have Sarah and Grace. So we're ready to have some fun this evening. Blind spots. That's the subject. What is that blind spot that's stopping you from getting to where you want to go? So many times we can set ourselves some great lofty goals and then not realize that what we think should take a few months can often be a lifetime. And I always say that we've got to enjoy who we become on our journey and not put too much pressure upon ourselves. So can you imagine setting a goal and then the second word being grace, have compassion for yourself as you go along your path? I know so many amazing hairdressers who have had their highs and their lows, and they will all turn around and say, during that low time, it may have not been so much fun, but that's when they did their biggest growing and they became who they are today. So we're going to have a really rich conversation because I have some special guests here and I'd like to bring them in as we go through. So welcome, Phyllis. Welcome, Rosemary. If you have any questions or comments, please do jump in. And I'm going to first of all bring in Sarah. Welcome, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, Vivian. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you here. And we have someone very special. And I'm going to let you introduce our beautiful Grace.
Okay. Well, this is Grace. She's my apprentice, and she started with me just a couple of months ago, and she has been part of the hair designer program.
And Grace, you've been rocking the house.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's great to have you here, Grace, and Sarah. Lovely always to have you. And we have fabulous William, who is going quite dark on us all of a sudden.
I know. I don't know why that did that.
Bring on the light, William.
I know. What happened? Let's see. I'll try lighting.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So we have fabulous William, who is in California. Hi. And we're going to jump into a really rich conversation. Let's start off right here. And our big question is going to be, is that we're saying, what is wrong with this picture? What is wrong with this picture? So guess what, guys? Let me just go to the picture. Okay, confession. I was in Costco and I was shopping and I saw this lady and I thought, I had to take a photograph. And just as I took the photograph, her hair got caught in the back of her t-shirt. But it was like, what's wrong with this picture, right? What is wrong with this picture? I'm going to have a conversation around this. What is wrong with this picture? Because what we're seeing in the big wide world is a lot of long hair, which I'm a huge fan of long hair on the right person. I'm a huge fan of short hair on the right person. And it's all about who can wear a certain look. Not everyone should wear Lycra. Right? And many people do that shouldn't do, right? But we're in the beauty business. And I don't know whether any of you have forgotten this important fact, because at some point they did go to a hairdresser, unless, of course, they went to YouTube and they learned how to ombre their own hair on YouTube. But hair should shine, shouldn't it? Mm-hmm. The other thing that I'm seeing out in the big wide world is a lot of long hair. Now, long hair, when it is age appropriate and the hair is beautiful and the hair shines, it shines, is magnificent. But when the hair is, as they say in the South, fried, dyed, and laid aside, when it is in that category, we do have a problem. So what I have been seeing a lot of, and I've been really studying this for a while, and I have to sometimes switch off because it's like I can't see any more of this ugly hair. Mm-hmm. From airports, cruise ship, walking through Manhattan for hours and hours, sitting at cafes and watching the world go by. Watching fried, burnt, destroyed hair that's long and shapeless on someone who it 100% does not suit. And my concern, and this is the first blind spot, is that we look at someone with long hair and we can easily say, so what are we doing today? And they can say, oh, I want to keep it long. So now conversation has shut down, right? And so now we're visualizing a trim, and then we're either putting more blonde on their hair, because let's face it, how many women want more blonde? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So blonde is a very easy thing to sell, but when we fry hair and we have people coming in where their hair is so destroyed, who looks bad? The entire hairdressing industry globally. So guys, blind spot number one, when you do a consultation, you've got to stand your guest up. You've got to look at her from every single angle. You stand her up. You can look at her through the mirror, so you're not looking directly up and down this way, but you look at your guest in the mirror. You stand the guest up to make sure you know their body type and their height, and you design to who they are. And the goal is designing them to be the best version of themselves. So let's jump off with Sarah. You've been in the training program quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
Your consultations have really changed. They were good before, but they've really changed.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do if you had this lady here coming in? I'm just going to go back to our first shot. What would you do if you had this lady sitting in your chair? Let me just go back. And bring her in. What would you say? How would your conversation start? She says, "Oh, Sarah, I'd like to keep my hair long, please."
Okay. So first I would say I would look at the 3 wheels of fashion, and I would actually have her fill out that form and circle where she sees herself in the 3 wheels of fashion. Because if she sees herself as more androgynous, or she sees herself as more sporty, or she like when you, like I'm looking at her outfit right now. Okay. But for her hair, then I would ask, we would vogue around the face. We would talk about face shape. I would ask if she was open to changing the length a bit, even, and keeping it very feminine, but while creating a shape for her body shape, body type, and face shape. So that's where I would take that.
William, what would you say to the color conversation here? Because we're looking at obviously very dried out hair. It looks very, very thin. On a lady that has a very boxy body type, I would say she's probably, if we probably looked at profile, more of an apple. The weight's living in the middle of her body. So what would you say for color for this lady?
He's muted.
Oh, 1 second. There you go. Off you go, William.
Thank you. I would definitely go lighter with the color. I would suggest if we were to go lighter that we would take it up at least to, 6 more inches up, and then lighten it a lot, especially around the face, to make that whole look not so heavy and stringy.
Okay. So Grace, when you're looking at this lovely lady, how long have you been doing hair?
Since January.
So that is, you're coming into you're in your 5th month of doing hair, right?
Yes.
So when you look at this lady here, and forgive me for everyone at Costco, but now I'm on a mission to start photographing backs of heads before I get thrown out of there. What is your honest opinion of how fabulous this lady looks from behind?
Not very fabulous.
How do you think you can make her hair look thicker and more luxurious?
Well, I think it looks very streaky, and I think it needs to be a lot softer and more blended together. And it definitely needs a trim. It's a lot of dead ends. And there's a lot you could do with the style. I'm not really sure.
Oh no, you're saying some really good things. So this
you are.
So this is the bottom line, guys. Client sits in your chair, and the first thing I see is dry, parched hair that's very thin. So obviously I couldn't photograph the front of this lady, but she had actually a very full face, and obviously she's got a boxy body type. So any square line across the back of the shoulders would make her look even more of a box. So if this lady is going to keep her hair longer, it needs to be rounder, a rounder shape that lifts up a lot more at the side and is a very soft perimeter, not a wispy perimeter, because that would look thin on this hair. I would keep her hair as rich and as much depth in it as possible, and even more depth around the perimeter. Now, William is speaking about some blonde there. Obviously, not having seen the lady's face, it's a bit hard. If this lady said, I like blonde, I would say, well, then let's do it where you can see it, which is around the eye, around the cheekbones, around there, and coloring to face shape. But when health of the hair is number one, I would be saying, listen, this is the smart thing to be able to do, is that when your client's sitting in your chair, you actually take a photograph of what you're seeing now. And then you're together. When you have the photograph, you can say, now look, now the client's looking at herself in here. So she's not first person, excuse me, she's looking here. It's a different experience. And we can say, now, what do you see when you look at the back of your hair? And clearly she would be probably saying, because she would be looking at this picture, oh my gosh, I can't believe it looks so dry and thin and frizzed out. And then I would be saying, let's get your hair looking thicker, more luxurious, more youthful. Let's get the shine back in hair, because hair's meant to shine. Hello, people. And I would be all around that. Would I be bringing up the length? Yes. Now, when somebody is full figured, you have to be very, very, very careful about going short, because the head will look so tiny in relationship to the body. So a short hairstyle, unless it was curly and textured so that the volume was quite wide on the shoulders, would not necessarily work for that. So you need to have volume and curl. Would I talk this lady into cutting off all of the color? Would I talk this lady into something kissing the shoulders, very irregular in the back? If it had curl and texture, maybe, because curl is soft and that makes for a more expansive head, right? So we're going to go through some things here. So the reality is today, we've all become blinded by, oh, long hair, let's continue. We've all become blinded by, let's paint everything that walks in the door, and not everything should be painted and not everything should be lightened, because it just dries out the hair. And guess what, guys? It's a fashion that's been around for over 20 years. I personally think it's old-fashioned. I don't think there's anything new about the work that's happening. Now, do we see magnificent ones on Pinterest? Yes. Have they been edited? Yes. Are they real? No. Are they fabulous? Yes. And is the client bringing in something that's had 1 million views? Yes. Is it an AI face? Yes. And so we're not even looking at real. And the reality is, who is it that's sitting in your chair? And Sarah spoke about the 3 wheels of fashion. And those are a really good barometer to personality, to lifestyle. And obviously, reflected within there is age. So that's a huge, huge factor. So I'd like to know from you guys, how many of you are relating to what we're saying right now and going, yeah, you are so, so right. How many of you are sick and tired of that? Kathy's asking, where can you find the wheels of fashion? Kathy, the wheels of fashion are in our Who is Sitting in Your Chair. It's a course that we have, and it also lives in the designer program. So it also lives there. So it's really quite a lot of fun. So I'm going to start asking some questions of our lovely folks here. So just to let you know, William is now in his 2nd year of doing the designer program with me. He's an accomplished hairdresser. He's worked internationally. He's has his own salon. He's a family boy and loves the craft and has a passion to be creative. He's also coming to do our photographic workshop, and he has a real playful side to his spirit. Grace has just entered the industry. She's in her 5th month. She is Sarah's apprentice, and she's rocking the house because she's literally doing exactly what I say, and it's amazing. Sarah has just joined my artistic team, and she's going through a year training plus, because it's a lifetime, and a wonderful, wonderful creative young lady. She's been on several art teams before. She owns her own salon. She's nursing 2 bionic knees right now. She's just recovering from knee surgery, and she still shows up, which I love. So Three amazing, amazing people. Lindsay's actually saying here that she is, where did she go?
She wants more blonde.
She's sick of it. She's sick of all this stuff. And so, right. You know, someone needs to call out on it. I believe we're at the beginning of a haircut revolution. Everyone looking the same is so boring. And I am sorry, there is nothing feminine about that.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing feminine about that. You have to walk in a certain way. You have to be able to dress in a certain way. It just because it's long doesn't make it right. And any hairdresser that says, oh, you know, my clients won't let me, then I'm going to throw it right back in your face and say, then your consultation isn't good, because not everyone should wear their hair long. And when it's not working, it's your responsibility as a professional to say, I know that you like long hair, but these will be my recommendations to make you look even more beautiful. And I would give them all of those options. And I would be saying, this is how you can look more gorgeous for these reasons. It's not an opinion. It would be factual. Your hair is dry. Your hair is damaged. These are the reasons why. Now let's get you into this, that, and the other. Now, clearly, if someone wants long hair and their hair's as thin as that, they need 3 rows of hair extensions to make that come to life. And the problem with what we see today when we're looking at imagery, when the hair is long, it's all from the back into the front. And when the back is short, it's all from the front into the back. So it's always borrowed and borrowed and borrowed and borrowed. Well, reality is we're 3-dimension. We have to look good from every single angle, from the length of the style, the width of the style, and the depth of the style. So those are the things that are so super, super important. So I'm just going to go, first of all, to William. Excuse me. William, how have you overcome a blind spot in your career? And what was that blind spot?
Well, how I overcame the blind spot in my career was by joining the course, you know, the gold course. And I've done it for 2 years in a row, like you said. And the blind spot was that I thought I had arrived in my 20s. And I thought that's what you did, was you arrived and you stayed there. And I did not realize that it was actually not a destination, but it was a journey that continued. And I held on to so many of the things that I had done, that I wasn't doing new stuff. I wasn't doing things that were challenging me and growing me. And then COVID happened, and you know, I got a little more reflective, spent a little more time in the garden and a little more time with kids and the family in lockdown. And when we were coming out of it, I had gotten onto the class somehow. I mean, I've always kind of followed your career and the things that you're doing, but I realized that you were teaching courses. And when I did that, it really unlocked the potential that I have now. Not the potential I had 35 years ago in London and all those places, but the potential that I have now. And it reignited all of the things that I had in my toolbox that I had just put aside for, I don't know why I put them aside. I don't even know what really happened over the past, 30 years that made me let go of all that. And then I got involved in the hair designer program, and I've learned so many new things, and I'm so much more involved in hair again. It lit the fire that I had kind of let go out. There were embers there, but it was not a raging fire like it had been. And I thought, well, this is just how it goes. You've been in the business for this long and done all these things, so you just don't need to do it anymore. And now that I've been in this second year, I'm really astonished at what lives inside of a person, and what can be released, and what can be discovered through knowledge and through learning, and through having mentorship and having a team by you like Sarah and Grace and everybody else that's in our team. And I just have been rocketed into another dimension.
Mm-hmm.
It has
So,
really helped me.
so it would seem as though what happens for many of us, we have magic moments in our career, we ride our success path, and then we just get comfortable thinking that it will last forever, right? And and what's been really interesting, the new statistics about independent salon owners is that within the first year is classified as the honeymoon period. And now what the industry is seeing in the second year is a 25% loss of clientele that then starts to accelerate and accelerate and accelerate. So with that said, being an entrepreneur, we've always got to reinvent ourselves, and we've always got to stay fresh and relevant and be always on the cutting edge, because we've always got to be bringing in new business. There's a natural process of losing people, but at that rate of 25% that then increases, it's a pretty scary thing. So Sarah, for yourself, what do you know now that you wish you discovered 10 years ago?
My worth. I wish that I believed in my worth more. I was working long hours. I was busting it out behind the chair, 10 and 12-hour days, and feeling like that was the way to do it. And, I was afraid to raise my prices. I was afraid of losing people. I lived in fear, to be honest. And I wish I knew then that how much power we have, and the energy that we put out comes back to us, and it all depends on how you do it, and if you're not increasing your skill set, if you're not staying on top of the new things that are happening in the industry, maintaining a really good positive attitude. There's a lot of things that go into what we do, and if you foster all of those things, and you invest in yourself, you're worth it, and I lived in the fear that I wasn't.
That's really powerful. So Grace, you just entered this business. You've been in it for 5 months. You have an incredible mentor with Sarah, and you're going through the training with myself. What are you, and you're around people with a lot of experience in the class, what are you realizing that you're getting that they did not have in their career because this was not even available? Are you already starting to see the gap?
I'm not sure if I see it quite yet, but I think that I have an advantage in the sense that I don't know anything. So like you said before, I'm learning from scratch. I don't have any bad habits to get rid of and replace. I'm a clean slate. So yeah, and there's so much for me to learn. I'm learning so much every day, which keeps it very exciting. And I love it when things click. There's nothing better than that moment where something clicks for you, and it just makes you want to keep going.
Yes, and you've been posting your work in the forum. So Sarah and Grace and William, they watch the videos before class. They come to a live event, which we hold every week. And so I get to watch them work. And then after class, they post their photographic work in the forum so I can get them to look at their work. And Grace has been posting work, and I look at it and go, I can't believe you've only been in the business this short period of time. And there's so much magic in learning it the right way, because we don't have to undo to do. And many, many times people haven't had the 5-star education in the beginning of their career. So then they kind of flatline because they don't know or don't believe that that other level is even possible. So you're going through right now the 3 wheels of fashion, and you're looking at a style and understanding how quiet or loud should it be. You're understanding where does she live in fashion, and you're understanding the sensuality of the look. You've been voguing around the face and measuring for balance and proportion. How are you getting at, have you played the game yet at Starbucks or something and just like, let's play the face shape game?
I have a little bit. I'd say while watching TV, that's when I do it the most because I'm not staring at people in public too much. But I don't know. I do struggle quite a bit, especially when it's like you said, a lot of times it can be a mix of two different face shapes.
Mhm.
And I do struggle a little bit, like differentiating which is which. But I think with more practice, that'll come more easily.
Well, the important thing is when you hear somebody say, and they've been in the business for 30 years, oh, I've never understood the importance of understanding a face shape. And we are designing around a face. And I was with a very prominent doctor last week in Manhattan, and I said to him, and he does amazing face work. And I said to him, so what do you think about all the long hair that you're seeing, like here in New York? And he said, it's ridiculous. He said, why are old women wearing long hair? And he said, in fact, there are too many women wearing long hair. He said, it doesn't suit. He said, it suits very few people to wear their hair dragging down. So I said to him, and he's got these huge goggles on and he's like got all the gear on. And I said to him, so what do you think is the ideal hairstyle? He said, a woman should have her hair away from her face, away from her face. He said, you've got to lift the cheekbones, lift the jawline. You've got to bring it away. And so, yeah, I agree. I said, I like a hairstyle that opens as opposed to all this closing down, right? And he said, and what's going on with the color? He said, everyone looks like they've got destroyed hair. I went, yeah. That's true because people see these wonderful photographs that have been filtered and they want their hair like that. And in the salon, we can make it look like that, right? With an amazing blow dry and beautiful lights. But the reality is when they're out there grocery shopping, it doesn't look the same. So it was like, yes. And I felt for a moment, I thought our industry needs a good kick up the bum. We need to now stop playing it safe and start the haircut revolution. And as I said, there is a hairstyle for everybody that makes it special and unique. We've got Christopher in the house who's been doing hair for 30 years. 1 minute I'm on set doing a celebrity and the next day I'm doing 3 6 ends and highlights all day. Love this career. So obviously Christopher knows how to put it on the right person and very, very successful. But again, it's not for everybody, is it? And that's where we have to be able to become more of an authority, which I think is so important. So Grace, what I would say to you is as you're going on this journey, be very gentle with yourself because you're going to have highs and you're going to have lows. And there's going to be no in between. Because you're, oh, wow, that's so amazing. Oh my gosh, it didn't work. Oh, that's so amazing. Oh my gosh, it looks so much easier, right? And the reality is that we see things in social media that's all sped up and reels and edited and filtered, and it's not real. So therefore, what you see out there that's made to look so easy, and you try and do it, and it's not so easy, it's because you're comparing an unreal situation with the real reality. No one does hair in 3 seconds, 30 seconds, or 15 seconds, whatever the bandwidth is. And yet that's what we have become accustomed to, and it's not reality. How many of you guys relate to that as well? I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. I'm seeing some really good comments coming in here. So Sarah, you've increased your prices.
Yes.
I know it's a very tender, soft subject for so many of us, our worth, our value. Walk us through how you actually did that.
So I started in the hair designer program with you, and it was about 6 months in, and I needed to have surgery on my, I had an injury from my dog, and I tore both of my meniscus. So I started having knee surgeries in 22, and I was taking time off of work, and I was learning all of this stuff from you and gaining my confidence in my skill set. And I was sharing what I was learning with my clients too. So they knew like the journey that I was on, and they could also see the results in what I was doing for them. So that was important, that I was upping my skill set and sharing that information and using it so that they could see the difference. So that was one. And then I hired a business coach. And I actually talked, because I had to reduce my clientele. I had to reduce my hours by 50%. So I had to reduce the amount of clients that I was taking. So I didn't know how to do that because we've spent our whole careers building our businesses, right? And protecting our businesses. And so I had to learn a whole new mindset of how do I let go of some of these people that I really feel close to. And because of our industry, that false intimacy, we think that we are friends with people, which we are friendly and we are caring, but in the end, there's an even exchange of energy. We are doing a service for them and they are paying us to do it. So I had to let go of some of my personal feelings and find a way to communicate that I was changing my business, and I did. So.
And did you get very much pushback?
No, I didn't get any pushback. And it was interesting because I was letting go of a lot of my haircut clients, but maintaining my colors, my chemical services, and haircuts, those people. So, but letting go of my haircut blow dry only people. And so I gave them an option of a stylist in my salon. And I told them, like, I care about you. And if I'm not doing your hair, I would still love to see you and say hello, and these are the people that I would recommend for you. And they have agreed that they would open their books to some of my clients. And so some of them did that. And then some of them, found their own way. But there was no hard feelings and there wasn't any upset. Like they all kind of knew it was coming.
Yes. So let's bring William back into the feed. And William, what do you feel about the obsession that we all have with social media? And what do you feel about the hairdressers that say, oh, well, I'm just going to learn from watching reels and watching things on Instagram or, shortcuts on YouTube? What would you say to them? Because obviously there's no structure in that type of learning. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, if we're to believe what everybody says about everybody having, ADHD and all of that, I think it, I remember before taking the courses that, you kind of get lost in what you're trying to learn. There's no structure to it. There's no rhyme or reason. And like you were saying before, the reels are all edited. And they're edited in a way that you don't see the real work go on. You don't see you see all the glamorous part of it. You don't see people moving around and looking at the hair and trying to get the lengths right, or when the color's wrong and they start again the next day. I've been and seen this. You get the whole thing wrong and then you go into the next day, you fix it, and then you put it on film. And it makes it all look so easy, and then you feel like, well, I can't do this. I can't do any of this. So you give up and you go to another video, yet another one, and you look and you see, you try, and then you can't do that. So you go to another one, and on it goes until you just
give up,
take a nap.
Or have a cocktail, right? So guys, I'm going to tell you something that's an absolute true story. I was working on a collection. It was a bridal collection, and I was going to be teaching this workshop. So I was just looking at what is the hot trending thing out there that people are looking for. So I started to look on YouTube and all the different platforms as to the most searched subjects. So I eventually found this whole collection. Then I look on Pinterest and I think, okay, that's kind of cute. And I'm watching boom, 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 twist, done. And I go, well, that was pretty quick. So then I watch it again. It's 15 seconds, twist, twist, da, da, flip, done, done. Oh, that's pretty good. So I watch it again. Okay, da, da, da. Okay, I got it. So now I get out a mannequin and I go, right, I remember this. It's like I do this and do this and do this, and I do it. And it looks pretty. It's nothing like the reference. So I'm thinking, I want to do it exactly like the reference because I want to know I can. And I've never been a copier. I've always taken an idea and tried to make it my own. And I actually have a real hard time copying because my creative juices get in the way and something starts to happen. So I said, no, you're going to copy it. 3 hours later, I won't even say what I was saying because it's not what an English lady or any lady should say, but I was getting really pissed off with myself and the poor person who was doing this hairstyle because they made it look so easy. And then I'm thinking, right, I'm going to screen capture every frame. So I screen captured every frame and then I laid the whole thing out and I started to look at the edit points. And then I compared the final, the one shot to the very end. And I thought, it's not the same. And I started to compare them side by side. So I then had another go. We're now at 4 hours. At the end of that, not only did not like long hair styling, which I love, I hated bridal hair, which I happen to love. And then in the 5th hour, because I tried a few things at this point, I hated hairdressing. I was ready to throw away everything because I was inspired. I wanted to do it. If a client came in, I would want to know that I could do that because I classified myself as someone skilled. I couldn't do it. And then I started to strip down the editing of it and I edit my own content. So you're sadly, unless you're working with me in a live workshop where we mark out strategic points within a haircut and we know the why because we're doing that to open the cheekbone. We know why because we're opening the jawline. We know why because we're giving some lift internally to the cheekbone, blah, 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 blah. We map it. We want the layer to live there, allowing for the pop. So it's got to come there and allow for the pop. We map everything out and we measure. That does not make an exciting reel. Stopping, looking, stepping back, measuring does not make an exciting reel. But if you're watching, so they say the average American will spend 2 hours a day on social media, which equals 30 days of the year spent looking and being brainwashed into thinking, oh, that's so easy. That's so easy. Oh, yeah. And it is addictive. And there's some amazing stuff out there. Let's call it the way that it is. But it's not real. So what that experience did for me was I lost confidence. It turned me off versus turning me on. And then I thought, whoa, 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 whoa. Do your own thing, Viv. That's a really clever idea. I pay homage to that person. Well done. Now do your own thing because there's creativity in here. Let it out. Don't be a copycat. This is another thing, another blind spot. World, stop copying. Use your own creativity. You've got magic. You've got creativity in there. Stop copying everybody else. You can be inspired. I get it. You can be influenced. I get it. But copying? No, make it your own. Whether it's just 5% that makes it different, whether it's 10% that makes it different, you take the concept of what that is. Now you're going to customize it to who's sitting in your chair. We're the only industry I know of that can still do couture, one of a kind. Everything else is mass, IKEA, production, assembly line. Don't lose the very thing that you have in your hands. Your hands are magic. Don't lose this, your imagination, your creativity. You've got your rational mind that works on logic. You have your heart brain. That is how you feel, the emotion of what that does. And you have your gut, your intuitive, your gut feeling about something. You've got 3 brains that function. There's intelligence in your gut, there's intelligence in your heart, and there's intelligence up here. You've got creativity. It's time for you guys to use it. Be inspired, absolutely, and then run with it because you are unique. There's only one of you. And I think Julie Garland said it, it's better to be a first-rate version of yourself than a second-rate version of somebody else, right? So be that. I think it's so important. Be inspired. And when you start to try and copy the way that I've been honest with you and you get disheartened, what happens is you start to move away from growth, because there's two things in business. You're either growing or you're dead.
Absolutely.
You're either growing and moving with progress and performance, or you're standing still, which means you're moving backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So today, in this competitive world, you've got to be the best version of yourself. Today, you've got to find your voice, your brand, your message, and really stand behind that and be able to say, I need to rebrand. I need to rebrand. So say, for example, my work has a classic element. I never compromise beauty, but it always has an edge to it. I always find a way to make it beautiful. Even punk, I'll make it pretty. Even a boyish look, I'll give it a little prettiness in there to say, no, she still is a girl, but she's very androgynous, right? So I know what my brand is, but within that, I always got to say, and reinvent, and try this. Today I did a teaching where I said, before the old Vivian was, this is going to be a razor haircut. We're going to do 100% a razor haircut because that's how it's going to be, right? And it's like, no, we're going to do razor here. We're going to use the scissors here if we need the thinning scissors. But the goal is one haircut, no fiddling at the end, zero fiddling, no detailing at the end, because you get it right first time. You pick the technique because it's the right technique. And there's a methodology. So when I'm teaching somebody, I want them to really understand that this way of looking at the world is very dangerous. Looking at the detail, not looking at the head shape, not looking at the face shape, not looking at the shape of the neck, missing so much. And when you can step back and then detail, and then you step back and you detail, and then you stop and look in the mirror, and you design into the mirror. So I'll be saying to people, right, when we cut this length, don't be looking down here like this. Mirror, into the mirror and go, right, that length is going to be there because I love how that lives right there. Now, that's a focal point. Now I know why I've done it. I know what it's going to do for the jawline, and I know my why. That's the power. So don't shortchange yourself. Don't compare yourself to social media. There's amazing people out there. There's mediocre out there, and there's dodgy out there. We know that. Find inspiration. Find mentors. Find people who are going to bring out your greatness. Techniques, I teach. You can only cut hair 3 ways: horizontally, diagonally, and vertical. Whether it be sheep shearing shears, whether it be thinning scissors, razor, or whatever. There's only 3 ways to cut hair: vertical, all of your diagonal, and your horizontal. There are techniques. I want to show you the simplest, quickest way to get to that result so that there's room for your creativity to flow. Creativity has a hard time flourishing in stress. Creativity is like a little flower that is opening, and it's gentle and it's fragile and it's delicate, and it can easily be destroyed by someone sneering. What's that? A yawn? Oh, really? You can be dismissed so quickly. When I was at Sassoon's in London and we would do all the things that we were doing, my biggest fear was what other hairdressers would say about my work. Shouldn't my biggest fear have been the client? Does she like it? The client was not important. It was, what does this art director think? What does this art director think? Do they think I'm fabulous? It was so ego obnoxious. But that's the playground that I played in. And I used to think, oh, this is so ego driven. I don't like it. I don't like it. And then one day I photographed all of my clients, and I laid all of my pictures out, and I was horrified. They all 8 of them had the same haircut. You know why? Because I could do it. Some of them looked better before I touched them. Some looked okay, and a couple looked better, but everyone got the same. But guys, we are in a business where we have uniqueness. We sell happiness and we create. At the end of the day, when you design to who is sitting in your chair, from the inside of the head to the outside, when you design to the face shape and you balance the face, which is a science of balance, when you design knowing that I think I can just make this have a little sparkle here, otherwise she's going to feel like she's boring. She wants that sparkle. When you know how to interpret the fashion, oh, she is so sophisticated and classic and chic. Let's button up this hairstyle because that's who she is. Oh, this one's so relaxed and undone and blah, 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 blah. Let's go there. And then the sensuality, how a woman shows up sensually. Some women thrive being feminine. Some women thrive being, come up and see me sometime, sexy. Some women thrive by closing down and being strong. I'm an alpha woman and don't you dare mess with me, right? Every woman is different. And when you unwrap through a great consultation, who is she? Personality, fashion, lifestyle. The hair to me is the easiest part. I can change the hair. I can add it. I can take away. I can't make a wallflower be a poser. I can't make a rock and roll chick all of a sudden go gothic, but I can embellish gothic. I can embellish rock and roll. Every haircut has personality. Every hairstyle is an accessory to fashion. So, excuse me, my call to the industry is wake up. The biggest blind spot is way too many people are wearing long hair that should not be. Remember, from here to here influences face. From the collarbone down influences body, right? So you've got to look at the total look. Why did Vidal Sassoon, when his lady sat in his chair, he said, no, I can't do your hair. Why did he do that? The lady was overweight. Now, he could do this back then. Today, it's a bit tricky. He said, you're a little bit overweight. I'd like to send you to Weight Watchers for 3 months. When you come back, you'll have the cheekbones and then you can wear the haircut. Now, he had the courage to say no to somebody. It's not right. He also had the courage to help in a kind, compassionate way, not a judging eye. But Dale always said to me, Viv, never look at anyone with a judging eye. Look at them with a tender eye. Love, that you care, right? Lady goes away. She loses the weight. 3 months later, she comes into the salon. He does the haircut. Vidal always cut to bone structure, always. That was his thing. And it got lost somehow along the way, but he did. He's finishing this lady's hair and a gentleman comes and taps him on the shoulder. And he said, thank you, Vidal. I lost my wife, but I got back my girlfriend. Now, Vidal would also say to people, if they were wanting a hairstyle that he absolutely believed was wrong, he would have the courage to say, madam, that's not something that I feel comfortable to do. That's not my style. It's not my brand. But let me make a phone call and I will see if I can get you in with somebody that I think would be a better fit for you. He would go, he would make the phone call, say, blah, blah, blah. Got a dodgy one here. You better take it. He would elegantly pass the lady over. Now, that lady is leaving thinking, wow, I didn't get accepted there, but he took care of me. He actually rejected me, but I feel loved because he made that phone call. So you have to stand for something. And you have to say, these are my standards. None of my clients are going to walk out with dull, frizzy, unhealthy hair. My clients will always have the signature look of gorgeous shine. I'm not going to blonde out ends of hair and have it fried unless that person can come in and have treatments. They can come in and have their hair trimmed every 6 weeks, whatever it may be, to maintain it. And those are the terms and the conditions. Yes, we can do all of this with you today, but this is how we play in my sandbox. And if that's not right for you, I can recommend you go to that drugstore, watch this YouTube video, get your hair nicely fried, and I will probably see you in a few months with very damaged hair. My sister-in-law, she's Persian. She's got magnificent, dark, luxurious hair. She said, Viv, I want to have blonde around my face. I said, that's ridiculous. I said, that's not going to work. She said, I said, if anything, you could have a very deep, dark red. I said, but the more we lift up your hair, the more fried it's going to be, right? And I said, you don't want that. So I said, let me make a couple of recommendations of 2 top colorists in New York, and I'm not going to say their names. She goes to one of them, and her hair's bleached out around the front of her face, and then they put on sort of a burgundy tone, which fades within a couple of weeks, and she's left now with fuzzy, dry, nasty hair right around her face. And I said, just do the facial frame, just do the area that's coming out from here to do that. So she says, well, what am I going to do now? I said, well, unfortunately, you're going to have to grow this out. Well, her hair's below her bust line. So that all of that hair is now damaged. And so we go through this whole journey. And I said, were you not told that your hair was going to be lightened to this pale yellow before this color went on? She said, no. She said she was just going to make my hair burgundy. I didn't know. So sometimes we can be famous and fabulous and not think we have to explain the obvious, but we always do. We always have to act as though, number one, the client will always come first, right? And when you meet the client in the landscape where she lives and you give her the value that she values, not what you value, what she values, it's easy to put up a price, easy, because she values it. And that is where we have to come back to. So don't be puppets, having the client pull the string. Draw a line in the sand and say, as a professional hairdresser, I am upping my game. And anyone who leaves my chair is going to have magnificent hair. And I know if I bump into her in the supermarket, it's still going to look pretty good because I didn't take her so far away from where she naturally is that she can't maintain it. Unless, of course, you've got high maintenance. So said a lot tonight, spoken about some very important things. I'm just going to bring our Grace back in here and so she can join the platform. Grace, does this make sense to you?
Yes. Yeah, it does.
Right. So you're going to remember, you are responsible for training your clients.
Yes.
You are 100% responsible for training them to expect you to always be late, for forgetting things, whatever it may be. You set the standard. And that's the way that we have to be, right? Christopher's saying preach. I hope I'm not offending anybody tonight. But, sometimes we need to kick up the bum, don't we? And I think that's usually what we need. So, guys, if you've enjoyed this evening and you're keen to get a little bit more of my world, please schedule a call. You can call and talk to my art team member, and they can hear where you are in your career, discuss different things with you in terms of where you are and where you want to go in your career. So all you got to do is go to vivianmckinder.com and book a coaching call. We never let anyone go away empty-handed. We always give. So they've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. One of the things that I think is the most sacred thing of all is time. You're never, ever going to get it back. And time is so precious. And when I see people wasting time on techniques that don't work, and when I see people procrastinating, it just breaks my heart because I can't give them back that time. And everything I do in my teaching is to try and help people save time and get there as easy as possible. I'm not a trickster in terms of let's do 20 different techniques and then we're done. No, keep it simple. And let your creativity flow, because that to me is very important. So if you want to book a coaching call, I highly encourage you just to go to vivianmckinder.com. And if you want to just jump in right now and do something fun, you can sign up for Viv Unplugged. And we'll pop that in the chat, Viv Unplugged. And it's a really fun program. We have one live a month, so you can come to the live. And just as I saw Grace and Sarah and William in action, You get to see you in action, which is a whole lot of fun. And it's just a huge library. But the most important thing about Viv Unplugged is that you get to work with me once a month. So it's really a whole lot of fun. So let me just bring back my guest. William, what would you love to say to our friends watching in terms of inspiring them?
I was listening to what you were saying in the end, and I was thinking to myself, one of the things that I would tell myself, especially now that I have a family, before I took the courses was, oh my God, this is so expensive. And what I learned, and I have learned, is that after taking these courses, the money has come. I mean, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this to show an example of point A to point B. I just bought a brand new Porsche after taking this course with you. I have taken this course, the gold course, the highest standard that you offer in that course, a second year in a row, and added the editorial, and I'm coming to and these are all expenses. And before the course, of course, I didn't have the money. Now that I've taken the course, I have the money. I have goosebumps. I highly recommend that you take as much of these courses as you possibly can. Beg, borrow, steal, raise funds. Have a haircutting circus at your salon for, get on Instagram and get a stream going where they give you money or whatever those things are, because the money will come. So much money will come. And I promise you that. I promise you that, because sometimes I do find that I work under half steam, and even that being said, I just keep getting and getting and getting from this. And Viv, it's changed my world, and it will change yours. The money will come to you. Do it.
Yeah, and that's how it should be. An investment has to pay back. Creatively, technically, emotionally, your joy has to pay back. If it doesn't pay back, then you've been a martyr. You suffered for the cause. So we don't want martyrdom. We want invest to grow, whatever that may be. And sometimes people just need to get a shot in the arm in a creative way. We've all got blind spots. And what's beautiful about watching people work is I can see, oh yeah, I can see where they're a little bit blind there. This is what they need to do. Sometimes I'm just watching someone and say, raise her up higher. You're looking down like a bird. You're designing up here and she's down here. You need to be here. You need to design into the client's perspective, which is the mirror. Design into the mirror, design into the mirror. Your mirror is a tool. So that one thing can be a massive blind spot. I had someone who came to my studio to do a training. He'd been in the business, 40 years. And I said to him, I was watching him work and I said, it's really interesting. I said, are you not looking in the mirror because you're here, you're in a different space, or is it something you don't do? He went, what? I said, you're not looking in the mirror. And he went, oh. And I said, I just want you to look into the mirror because we're going to take a photograph of this, and the photograph's like what you would see if you were looking in the mirror. So I said, look in the mirror. And he went, I said, you see that? He went, oh, no, I know. Okay, so it does that. So then we go out into the studio area and we take pictures. And I said, I want you to see how you're looking. And I came in really tight on the head. I said, you see nothing. It's like this. How can I see that this is a hand until I do this, right? Oh, it's a hand. So I then I drove this poor man crazy. I said, right, mirror. And then I put my phone on a timer, mirror, every 5 minutes, mirror, mirror. Then I said, you're too close to your work. So I then put tape on the floor and a big circle around his chair. And I said, you're not allowed to step inside that tape. So then it went from tape, mirror, tape, mirror. And he was like, I can't take this with him. I went, trust me. I said, I want you to see your work for the very first time. And he actually ended up crying. And it wasn't tears of pain. It was tears of joy and just the revelation that at last he was looking. And I said, why have you never looked? And he said, I suppose a long time ago, I must have looked in a woman's eyes and been scared and decided not to make eye contact. I said, how long ago was that? He said, 40 years. And then he said, I just wish I'd met you earlier. I said, well, you've met me now. And they lean over, right? So now we're just going to go for it. And so then I put an elastic band on his wrist. And every time he didn't, I said, snap that band, because you have to create triggers, right? So sometimes I'll say, put on your brush, mirror, put on the mirror, just a visual trigger to shift the behavior so that you can have greater awareness. And that's like major. You see, you can only change one habit at a time. And so when I'm working with you, I may say, right, this week, I only want you to do one thing this week and change, which will be measure the face. That's what we're going to do, because you're trained on how to do that. How many of you measured the face? Oh, well, I did a few times. So what was the outcome? Oh, I made a different decision about the hairstyle. Why? Because it wasn't balanced before. Oh, what did she say? She loved it. Oh, and I got a bigger tip. Oh, go figure. Go figure. We're in the business to make people look beautiful. No one comes in saying, Viv, make me fat and ugly. No one comes in and says, come on, I'm 40 years old. I want to walk out looking 60. Come on, you can do it, right? No one does that. It just doesn't happen, right? And as I said before, Lycra is a very nice fabric, but not everyone should wear it, right? Only certain people should wear it. Sadly, a lot do. But anyway, point rested. Grace, I want to thank you for being with us tonight. And thank you for being brave and showing up. I know you're a little scared to show up in front of these people, but you did it, right? You did it. You did it. Yeah. And you know what? Just do it afraid. Every time I've done something new and exciting in my career, I've done it afraid. And you know what that's called? Courage.
Yes.
Right? Always have somebody around you that knows more than you, always. Even when you're famous and you're winning awards, always have somebody out there that's bigger and brighter and a star. You always need something to stretch towards, because remember what I said, if you're not growing, you're dying. Mm-hmm. It will affect your emotional life, your personal life. It affects everything, because it's a mindset. And your mindset should be, how do I stay curious? How do I reinvent myself? How do I become intriguing to be around? How do I become more fun? And you know what? It's work. It's work. If it's easy, it's usually too good to be true. Mm-hmm. And when you fail at your first bob, and your second bob, and your third bob, and your fourth bob, and it's not Vivian perfection, you just learn and move on. And you just make sure you don't make the same mistake over and over again. Make new mistakes. Some of my best creations have come from dreadful mistakes. That's why we have mannequin heads, right?
Right.
Whenever you're not sure in the salon and you think, I'm not sure about this, it's called a second opinion. Excuse me, madam, I'm just going to get a second opinion on your hair. I have an idea, but I would really value Sarah's opinion on this. Nothing wrong in doing that. We look at someone and you think, I've got no idea what to do on this one. Yeah. She was howling this morning. She wasn't barking. She was howling. And I'm just not inspired right now. I go and I say, could you give me a second opinion? I've got a dog out there. Can you help me? I'm being very rude right now, but I feel like I can be with my friends, right? Do that. William, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for trusting. Thank you for the courage to constantly reinvent yourself, for showing up and being positive and sharing this love that you have back with your guests, because you are infectious in your love and your caring, which is such a beautiful energy to have. So just keep doing it. And I just thank you for being here with us tonight.
Viv, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I can't tell you how this has changed my life, these courses, and my introduction to your way of living. It's been just great. It's just been great. And I was thinking when you were saying to Grace, I was thinking instead of saying I heard this recently. Instead of saying you're scared, say, what was it? Say, I'm not scared. What is oh my God, my mind nowadays. I'm not scared. I'm intrigued. I'm curious. I'm excited. You take the fear that we all have for the rest of our lives, we'll always have it, and instead of saying I'm scared, you say, I'm intrigued by this, and I'm excited. Take it and be excited, because it really is an exciting journey to be with you, Viv. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Sarah, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and thank you. What would be your message to everybody tonight?
My message would be to, just stay open. Be open to what is your heart telling you? What is that little voice inside your head repeating to you? What are you saying to yourself, so often? And if it's repeated, why is it repeated? Is there no action? If you need to take action, what is it that you need to do? And so often it's one small step. It is one phone call. It is one click. It is one conversation, and just being open to taking that first step, because you have no idea how much that can empower and change your life. And I feel like since doing the hair designer program, I can really relate to Will, because it's not just the industry. It's not just behind the chair. It has changed. All those small changes I made behind my chair were so intentional. And I transferred that intention into my personal life. And so then everything just starts to expand. And it starts from that very first step.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, guys. Thank you to my friends in the chat. Christopher, thank you so much. Phyllis, Kim, Wendy, she's saying, aha, one of my clients with dark, fine, curly hair wanted to look like J-Lo. I said, you're not J-Lo. It will never happen with me. Love it. Love it. Rosemary, I love you, Rosemary. Vida, great to see you here. And Vicky, of course, is here as well. Thank you so much, guys. I hope tonight was inspirational for you. For those of you who are part of my world, thank you for showing up. For those of you who are watching this post and you want to learn more, just book a call. Go to our website, vivianmckinder.com, and book a call. And I promise you won't leave empty-handed. We will have a gift for you, and we're here to serve and help you. My greatest joy is seeing transformation. It's better than winning any award. Just seeing people be transformed is very addictive, and that's what makes it exciting. And now in my career, I travel around the world plenty of times. I'm now much more content to do my virtual world and see transformation happen every single week. So it's almost like you get Viv in your pocket, right? You just take me out, there I am, you can learn different things, and then you put me back in your pocket, and off you jolly well go. Just don't sit on me. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Sarah, Grace, William, my lovely friends, take care and share this with someone who you think would really find value. Remember, a blind spot is best seen by somebody else. We all have them. So let's tear those blind spots down and go for gold. Thank you so much, guys, and take care. Bye for now.